Whole class gasped. I like to imagine this blew his trench coat and fedora right off. Student's name. You're my second favorite student of all time. Everyone else is tied for first. In a sea of rude and offensive comments in this topic, this one was actually very clever and funny. Student constantly skips class. Teacher, where's Justin? Student, I can call him if you want. Teacher, do it. Calls Justin. Teacher, hey. Justin, where are you when you should be in my class? Justin, you can tell he's a little freaked out. Up. McDonald's. Teacher, pick up an application. Click. Student, I forget why. I'm going to be one of the people running the world. By then, I'm the future. Teacher, that's like reminding me that I'm going to die. Only more depressing. Double quote. Teacher, doing attendance, Johnny. There you are, Sarah. Oh hi Sarah, I didn't recognize you without your glasses. Pretty girl who usually wears glasses. And to Ben. The class clown. Ben. Where's Ben? He's in his usual spot. Oh Ben, there you are, I didn't recognize you with your mouth shut. Sickest burn ever. The timing was beautiful, everyone exploded. Damn. Kid wasn't even doing anything and the teacher was throwing shots. This was about 2006. Student, the song American Idiot was written about you. Teacher, Boulevard of Broken Dreams was written about your future. Substitute was a cool 20-something-year-old guy. He was giving a lecture on math and stuff when his voice cracks. For a few seconds no one notices it. Then some kid imitates the squeak and gets a couple giggles. Then the teacher turns around and says, listen kid. The reason my voice is cracking is cause I've been talking all day. The reason your voice cracked is cause your gonads never dropped. Entire class lost it. Student, can we postpone the math test? It's on my birthday. Teacher, well unlike your birthday this math test was planned ahead of time. Student, trying to be intimidating. Don't get me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. Teacher, nobody likes you anyway. After a particularly bad group project presentation that basically just failed to touch on anything relevant to the core subject as review was, I asked you for a painting. You gave me a frame. So I had a friend in HS who wore khaki pants and a collared shirt to school pretty much every day. One day he was leaning over some kid's desk helping him with something. And his a sticking way out. Just tempting someone to run over and smack it. And another friend, James, does just that. He runs over and lands a perfect, incredibly loud slap square on the butt cheeks. On him that made him bolt to standing up immediately. Fortunately for every else in the class except for James. It wasn't my friend but the teacher. Who also wore khakis and collared shirts to school every day. Everyone goes silent. And the teacher turns around. Bright red. But with a big smile on his face and says, James. Save that for after class. Everyone bursts out laughing and the kid, of course, never lived it down. My dad was a high school teacher about 30 or 40 years ago. He was pretty young. So his students felt pretty comfortable around him. And felt comfortable messing with him. There was this one student who decided to put a tack on my dad's chair before he came in one morning. My dad noticed it before he sat down. And decided to keep standing. A few minutes into class. That kid hot called to the office. My dad took the tack and put it on the kid's chair. When the kid returned, the other students were able to hide their snickering pretty well. He sits down and immediately jumps about 6 feet in the air. The class bursted out laughing. My dad always wins. I had a teacher that would write ouch next to all my wrong answers on a test. He shouldered Staples Burger King application forms to kids who failed. I had a high school science teacher that stapled a McDonald's application to failed tests. Savage. We were taking a quick 20-question multiple choice quiz a few years back in a bio class and the teacher suspected one of the stonier kids in the back had been cheating because he kept messing with his shorts. I hope you aren't sliding that pant leg up to check the answers you have written down. The student piped back. Yeah, of course I have them all written on my big dig. And without missing a beat, the teacher fired back. Alright, well, where did you write the other 18 answers? Student, can I go to the bathroom? Teacher, I don't know. Can you? Student, well, you could always help me out. Teacher, this isn't a science class. I don't have any tweezers. Double quote. To the burn ward with you. Strong counter for a weak one. Nice. Context, student has turned in a lousy paper. Student, see Monday. I bet you did papers the night before when you were in college. Prof, yeah. But I'm smarter than you. I've said basically the same thing to my students. You can write a paper the night before if you've done all the research and other work. Basically, if you've become smart enough. As a joker, student asked the teacher how you get 4 gay guys to sit on a bar stool. He then flipped his shop still upside down. The teacher then said, that's a good one. We had that same joke in my day, but it was with sorority girls. The student thought that was a better version of the joke. Then the teacher said, hey, isn't your sister a sorority girl? The look on his face was priceless. Kid was sticking an eraser in a Bunsen burner with a pair of tongs. Science teacher told him to stop because the fumes can give you brain cancer. Then she added, on second thoughts, it's probably too late for you to worry about that. Edit, amended the outdated feudal dialect. Sos guys. So we are in pay and our teacher is new to the school but taught in juvie for a while and had several tattoos. So she played around with us but in the end took no crap. We're sitting in the bleachers one day and she leans back and undoes her hair. She always kept it in a bun or something. One of the students, among the more rowdy of us. She tolerated him. Barely, then shouts down at her, hey missus. Name here. You look better with your hair down. She stops. Looks at him and goes, yeah. Well, you look better with my eyes closed. The bleachers erupted. Our math teacher placed a book on the marker tray of the whiteboard with an arrow on the board connecting the book to the sentence. Marco's biography. The book was called The Ugliest Boy. Marco was a student. And was also the teacher's son. In 6th grade Latin, our teacher called a mischievous student a wart on the as of progress. I've always loved that. A cool guy in my class wouldn't do his work in class and my teacher said to him, if you don't do it I'm sending you to the principal. The guy responded with, I don't give a shit. My teacher says I don't care if you're constipated or not. Was the best thing that happened in that class. The guy went bright red and started to do his work. On my end of year report card that I had to take home to my parents, one of my teachers wrote, I shall miss Goodly Lawful's cheerful presence in my class, as well as his ever more creative excuses for the non-production of work. I came back the next year after I got an A on the national exam for his class, and caught him telling a group of prospective students, if Goodly Lawful can ace this course, anyone can. This was in JR High, which I think was 8th grade. We had a math teacher who was a bit rotund and rosy-cheeked and upon reflection a bit effeminate. As we all know, girls of that age can get a bit tightly wound and dramatic. So every time there was a confrontation like that in class, he would sing the teapot song at them with dance move and everything. For those who do not know, I'm a little teapot, short and stout. This is my handle, this is my spout. When I get all steamed up, hear me shout. Tip me over and pour me out. Probably the most effective 14-year-old girl diffuser I have ever seen. There was this ginger kid in my high school I used to share a few classes with, who was basically the class as whole. He used to give lip to the teachers and other students equally, so apart from his little crew of mates he was pretty much universally disliked. Anyway, one class he was winding up my business studies teacher, a gentleman who was follically challenged and had a rather shiny bald head. After several minutes of this kid being a big dig and making comments about his head, we can see the teacher's patience slowly dwindling. He finally snaps when the kid shouts across the classroom to try get the teacher's attention, oi, slaphead. At which point he swings round and just screams, get your ginger pubes out of my ducking classroom. Why did I get an F on this assignment? Well, that was the lowest grade I could give you. I was a teacher for a few years some time ago. During my first year of teaching was when Eminem was getting really popular. I had this one student who was very into Eminem. To the point of replicating haircut, hair color, style of dress, etc. This student was also frequently disruptive. One morning, as I was trying to start class, he was standing next to his desk, chatting with another student and totally oblivious to the fact that class was starting. So I look right at him, get his attention, and say, "Are you the real Slim Shady?" No. Then sit down. Small victories. 9th grade biology, we are learning about how when a sperm meets an egg, it creates a cell called a zygote. This girl raises her hand to ask, "So do I have a zygote in me right now?" He responds, "I don't know what goes on in your personal life, Kelly." Kid in class was trying to be funny by saying hashtag blah 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 with every sentence. He says it to the teacher and he replies with hashtag tell me when you get laid. I constantly came to high school economics stoned after work. Teacher said, "Allergies. In December? Edit, work equals lunch." I was up roaming the classroom, fooling around, when I should have been at my seat. Bio teacher yelled at me and said, "Sit down. You are tilting the room." I am not an extremely big guy, but big enough for that remark to make sense. In one of my history classes we were talking about how we actually had a few chances to get bin Laden before 9/11. One of the circumstances though didn't permit because there was a playground nearby and children's toys. Evidence of kids staying wherever he was staying. So one of the more dumb jock kids in the class. "I don't get it. What's wrong with just killing a few kids?" The teacher gives him the most look and said, "So I'm confused. Obviously you support abortion, but why didn't your parents?" A friend and I were visiting my English teacher after class and my friend was showing her a picture of her shoes and making sure they were appropriate for graduation. "Teacher, those are fine. I just meant don't wear any hooker shoes." Me. AWW. I bought the cutest hooker shoes and now I can't wear them? S. Teacher, no. You'll have to save that for your job. Set my dumb ass up on that one. The PE teacher walked into the boys' locker room when my friend was giving another one gum and asked what Drew Gus are handing there. "Friend, they're steroids. You want some? You look like you need them." Teacher, "No thanks. They don't seem to be working." James. Get away from that window. Everyone will think this is a special school. I once rushed through an AP English essay at the last minute. It was returned to me with a litany of red ink and a question at the end. Why waste this paper? Happy ending. I got a 5/5 on the actual AP exam. A kid was complaining about the sun shining in through the window into their eyes and the teacher replies with, "Oh, just enjoy it. After all, your future doesn't look as bright, so might as well soak it in." This one's just mean. Doesn't even feel like a burn. Almost like bullying. Even if meant in jest. High school art teacher once asked for a show of hands of who was taking on the course next year with him. A troublemaker put his hand up and the teacher just said no. In history class, we're in the middle of an understandably somber section about the Holocaust and concentration camp conditions and one student decides it'd be the perfect time to fire off a Jewish joke. The teacher just turned around slowly and said, "That's impressive." Student. "What's impressive, Mr. S?" "Well, here I am talking about Mengele and Hitler. Not to mention all of the other Nazis. And yet you somehow still manage to be the least likable person in today's class. You behave as well as you look." The class lost their sheet after that one. Teacher goes to turn the AC down. Kid in my class, "Thank you. You read my mind." Teacher, "It was a short book." I had a teacher in high school who would staple McDonald's applications to failed tests. This is the same teacher that when they had a kid fall asleep in class last period of the day got the entire class to quietly grab their things and go into the hallway. Grabbed his own stuff and went out. Then loudly came back in the room and turned the lights on. When the kid woke up, the teacher looked at him and went, "OHH, you're still here. Better hurry, school starts in 20 minutes. The look on his face as he sprinted out of the room was priceless. This smart as HS senior in my freshman algebra class v Mr. Capital S. Hey, Mr. Capital S. You've been teaching forever. Getting pretty old, aren't you? Ha ha ha. When you gonna give it up? Mr. S. Straight-faced like a boss. Oh. IDK Adam. I figure about the time you pass this class. The guy's face was as red as a Santa suit. Greatest first day of school ever. Talking about percentage of skin on the body if you get burned in health class. It was something like 18% on the back and chest, 18% for both arms and 18% for both legs. Then 1% for genitals and 10% for your head and neck. A kid who we will call Bubba shouts out, "Don't you mean 5% for genitals?" He chirped, "Wheel for you, 0.5%. Bubba. Pretty shocked. Just goes, "Excuse me?" The teacher just yelled really loud, "Your pen 15, Bubba. It's tiny." That is what I said. Edit. Thanks for the gold, stranger.